There was famine and plague everywhere. People were dying of starvation, illness, and consumption of all sorts. The medicos were at a loss and charlatans were everywhere, selling quack cure-alls and nonsense inoculations in droves, preying on the desperate. And the desperate were aplenty, and they were buying. I walked through the town fully covered. I breathed through the material of the thickest cloak I had, and I held my breath as long and as often dizzying myself could handle. Bodies lined the streets, nary a sign of movement, aside from the shaking hands of a beggar. The hands of a beggar. That's what brings me to this story. Saw a hand of a beggar, all on its own, and crawling around it was. Crawled right up to a body as dead as the world as me own da. When I figured it was some evil magic, come to clean the bodies of any goods they had left. But then, it crawled under the pox-ridden blanket, covering the sunken-eyed, wispy-haired, lifeless corpse beneath. And it started awake. The body, I mean. Woke up with a jolting gasp, like the wind had been simply knocked free from its guts and drawn back in. And then it sat up and stared blankly for but a moment before it smiled. And me feet never moved so fast in all me fucking life.
Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Dungeons & Dragons and the lore that surrounds them. Well, hello there, creatures, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Encounter This. I guess me calling it fantastic right up the top is a little presumptuous. Maybe I should let you guys decide. I think this is going to be a fantastic one because today we are getting into an absolute 5e, or I guess D&D or role-playing game in general, classic. But before we get to that, I would like to introduce myself as James, the Hand of Glory Kid, and with me, as always, taking us through this wonderful episode is Freeman, the Ladyfingers Eiston. Today, I sure hope it's obvious at this point, are going to be talking about Crawling Claws from the Monster Manual on page 144.
No, that's just 44.
On page 44.
Nailed it. I don't know if you know this, but C comes pretty early in the alphabet.
I got it on the first take.
Yes, Crawling Claws. I thought this would just be a nice, quick, fun one. I had a quick look at the page, and I thought, this won't be too complicated. Turns out they're a little cooler than I expected, which is pretty fun. It's always a delight. So we'll get right in. As you might guess, Crawling Claws are severed hands of murderers, animated by dark magic. Wizards and warlocks that serve dark powers and have the means to reanimate these creepy crawlies do so in order to allow them to continue the killings. Or they use them as extra hands in their own dark work. Undead homunculus, possibly? Anyone? That's the vibe I got right away. One thing that's for sure is that it does have to be a murderer's hand, according to the lore, at least for 5e.
Okay.
So the life force of a murderer is bound to the severed hand via dark rituals. Sorry, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I honestly have a hard time separating these from the hand in Addams Family. I can't even remember what it's called at this point.
Thing, yeah.
The Thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be my honorable mentions of course.
Okay. Spoilers.
Couple of fun facts about Thing coming up, but yeah, it's the only especially modern day cultural reference that I could ever think of as well. So here we have these hands. They're bound to the murderer through this dark ritual. However, these rituals can fail under the following circumstances. The dead murderer's spirit is already tied to another undead manifestation. The murderer is raised from the dead, or the spirit has long since passed on since the murderer's death. So, in other words, it's got to be relatively fresh after their death. So this means that the ritual itself works best as a freshly severed hand, and this also means that those who would seek to create these undead servants will bargain with assassins, torturers, and other murderers, or frequent public executions in order to acquire what they need. So, and really, realistically, you got to be pretty macabre and relatively amoral to even get started on this process.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. Like, can this be done against somebody's will, like, or without their knowledge? I guess that's what that implies, right?
I mean, yeah, it's it has to be from a murderer, and they have to have been dead already, supposedly, and it has to be like freshly after their death. Although there is some exception. We'll come into that.
Okay.
So differing from most undead, a crawling claw cannot be turned or controlled by spells and abilities that would normally do so. So they are straight up immune to that sort of thing. I think we'll certainly explore it in the stat block that they're just a hand, right? They are bound by this sort of bond through the soul, I guess. But they are not. They're even less thinking than like a zombie or a skeleton randomly reanimated. So basically, they are entirely and wholly bound to the will of their creator. And like most of the mindless or semi-mindless animated creatures, they follow orders, usually via mental command. And without orders, they follow the last command received to the best of their ability. Commands do need to be simple, however, and due to its limited senses and intelligence, Crawling Claws cannot carry out orders to kill specific individuals. After a little more research, I came across that these are traits and limitations that are very much associated to magical constructs. So, yes, undead homunculus, essentially.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, instead, if used correctly, a crawling claw can be set upon a place and left to conduct a killing spree on everyone present. So, such as everyone asleep in an inn late at night, for example. And they actually do have the ability to navigate keys and doorknobs without issue. So I have a hard time imagining that on a physics-based level. And, where are they getting the sort of torque and leverage to actually turn said keys and doorknobs? I don't know exactly. But
The wrist,
there you
I
have
would
it.
think, because the crawling claw is cut off above the wrist, if I'm not mistaken.
It is above a bit above the wrist, yes. But I mean, I guess it must be able to really wrench that wrist heavily enough. I guess it really depends on the doorknob and the key.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you open a door, like a knob specifically, not like a latch, all you're
Right.
doing is leveraging the torque in your wrist. So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it could be there. So yeah, these things you can't send after a specific individual, but you can say, I know they're sleeping in the inn. Go in there and do your work, and they will happily do it. So as for crawling claws, they have some very limited memory, mostly hate, jealousy, greed, and they retain pretty much that only from their former life. And in fact, these emotions do sort of seem to enhance and amplify the motivations of the crawling claw itself. And if it's left to its own devices, essentially, what this means is that if it's not given any instructions to follow, has no previous one to follow to the best of its ability, it will then just try to imitate and recreate the murders that it created in life.
Okay, I'm getting real slithering tracker vibes from this, and I like it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's a good comparison. Never thought of that. Yeah. So here we have an exception, though. There is something called living claws. So if a crawling claw is created from a severed hand of a still living murderer, a living claw is formed. So rather than the soul being bound to the hand remains bound to the soul within the body while animated. The hand can return and knit back to the flesh, and the murderer goes about life as if nothing ever happened. The wording on this in the book was a bit sketchy, but I think I've nailed it down. But it basically says when the hand separates again, the body falls into a coma. This seemed to imply that only after the second time it falls into a coma, but the more I read it seemed to assume that no matter what, if you have a living creature and the hand's severed and then this ritual is performed on that hand, every time they will fall into a coma.
Okay. So it's similar to I guess the magic jar spell, like you're putting your soul and your consciousness into the hand.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so you go to this catatonic state physically, right?
Yeah.
Totally. And so it basically, when it comes back and attaches to the body again, they wake back up and they go about their business as if nothing happened. They have no memory of the hand having done this. And that sort of got the interpretation of no matter what, it's a coma from the way the Forgotten Realms wiki worded it and interpreted it. But it was in the 5e specifically that it was a little bit vague on the first removal. Or I guess the first ritual after the removal.
Right.
But when you destroy the body while the hand is separate, in this particular case with this living claw, it does not destroy the hand. The hand continues on. However, if you destroy the hand, the body that is comatose is killed. It does die.
Oh wow.
So there's a lot more a much stronger connection to the spirit that's in that body, but it seems most of the spirit or soul or what have you is in the hand, the majority of it. And the body is very reliant on the survival of that hand.
Yeah, that's big.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty much it for 5e lore. I do have a couple honorable mentions from other bits of lore, which is always fun. In a 3.5 ebook called Lost Empires of Faerun, crawling claws are described as being able to easily climb vertical surfaces using their fingers. So there was no specific description of that in 5e. The hand had to be from a small to medium creature only. And they were only left hands.
Oh.
Yeah. 5e art specifically depicts a right hand. We'll kind of get into why. I think it's just a very particular pull from cultural lore. That's not necessary.
I think I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's wait for that.
Mm-hmm. And this is my favorite fact of this whole show. It's my favorite fact. A gathering. These things, according to 3.5e, these things would gather in groups or swarms, and these groups were known as an applause.
Sorry, this is an audio medium. I'm shaking my head so hard. I love it, but it hurts me to my core.
That's so good.
That's yeah. I mean, it's
perfect.
It's on point. I don't know what. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect, and I hate how perfect it is. It bothers me.
Yeah. The other one I might have gone with is Encore. An encore of crawling claws.
Also really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like a mime.
Oh, jeez. A mimicry of crawling claws.
Yeah, there we go. But I don't think you can do better than an applause.
No, applause is perfect. I love it.
Yeah. Wow.
So we also have a reference from a Dragon magazine column by Ed Greenwood called The Wizards 3. There is a variant known as Flying Fingers, and where they were especially enchanted with the power of flight, of course. And also they had the ability to turn back spells, a la the Ring of Spell Turning, which I thought was pretty interesting, and I hadn't really known. I felt vaguely familiar this Ring of Spell Turning, but I wanted to look it up, so I quickly made notes on both the 3.5e and the 5e edition.
Right.
So in 3.5e, 3 times a day, you could automatically reflect the next 9 levels of spells back at the caster. And this is as per the Abjuration spell called Spell Turning. So that's like equal.
That's huge.
It's really crazy. If you haven't used it yet today, and someone casts a 9th level spell, you can reflect it, right? But if someone casts a 2nd level spell, you only have 7 levels worth left, and someone casts a 5, then you only have 2 levels worth left. It kind of counts down that way.
Oh, okay. So, right.
Yeah, 3 times a day, up to the next 9 levels of spells is the wording. It took a little extra research to get my head around that, but that it calculates based on what level it is. And then for 5e, it's simply it just requires attunement, and it simply gives you advantage on saving throws triggered by spells and magic, which is essentially magic resistance. But also, if you get if a nat 20 is rolled versus a spell of 7th level or lower, when you're rolling your advantage, this spell has no effect and instead triggers against the caster using the spell slot, the spell save DC, attack bonus, and spellcasting ability of that caster. So
That's also huge.
yeah, so you get advantage, and if you get a nat 20, and there didn't appear to be any cooldown on that. There's no like once per day or anything. It's just straight up. So it's pretty solid. 7th level or lower too. It's pretty big.
Yeah, and I mean advantage as well. So that's 2 opportunities to roll a nat 20.
Right.
That's no small chance. I mean, it's still. I guess it's 1 in 10.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty much is, right. And I think it's a pretty cool. I think they're both pretty cool examples of how that same core concept can work. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. So your flying fingers have this ability in 3.5e. And I got a little bit from Forgotten Realms Wiki as well, because the wiki seems to have taken some liberty on claiming that Crawling Claws can, in some vague form, procreate by finding a way to sever hands of recently deceased creatures or murderers and bestowing or sharing their curse on said hand. Now, the reason this is liberty is because they reference the 5e monster manual, and that's definitely not in there.
Weird.
Yeah, unless there's a new printing that I'm missing, I don't know. But it also did not seem to specify a murderer's hand is needed in this particular thing as well. And unlike the dark ritual that creates that hand in 5e, so it's claiming something that's not there, but it's also not specifying that is something there. And so I find that dubious at best, but there it is. Be careful when you go on wiki pages, my friends. It's not always true.
Yeah, always check your references.
Mm-hmm. And the only other thing is that they do make a small appearance or mention in Volo's Guide, in that they are considered a variant option for a familiar. And that appears next to the basic Conjurer stat block on pages 212 and 213.
Okay.
So
the PC enemy stat blocks in the back of the book, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That makes
it's just
sense.
got a little sidebar there. It's like, oh yeah, among other ones, the Crawling Claws is an optional familiar. So
Right.
yeah, it
I
definitely
was
totally
actually
makes
just
sense.
thinking about how good of a familiar that would be.
Yeah. And let's see here. I just realized that a bit of I did find some cultural lore, but it didn't save. But that's not to worry, because I know exactly how to find it. It wasn't that much. Okay, we should be good. Yeah, and so I mean, from there, continuing with the honorable mentions, we of course will talk about some fun facts relating to the Addams family. I don't know. I wonder how many of our
Fantastic.
listeners are familiar. I'm sure most are, although I don't know how far internationally the Addams family has traveled exactly.
Well, there's a new movie that just released a while back.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that. It was 2019.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I
Animated
enjoyed
one.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a hold of it. I haven't watched it yet, but what I will say is that over the last 2 days, I did watch the original Raul Julia and Angelica Huston ones from the early '90s.
Oh,
Christina
don't say
Ricci.
original. Those aren't the original ones.
No, like the original. Oh yeah, sorry. Like the were they not the first feature films, or am I wrong about that? So I know the original was a TV show.
I think 1991 would have been the first feature film.
Yeah. So that's
But
what I
those are
meant. Yeah.
technically based around the new Adams family.
Yeah, and there were I mean, Christopher Lloyd as Fester. Like they actually got a really good cast in both of the films, and they're properly entertaining. I love the humor in them.
Yeah. The new one's Oscar Isaac and Charlize Theron, right?
I don't know. I have no idea. I have not. I got a hold of it, but I haven't done any research on it at all yet. But what I'm mostly going to reference here is the 1960s TV show. Originally the Addams Family was a comic strip by Charles Addams, and of course we want to talk about Thing. Now Thing, this is pretty funny. Thing was he's the most obvious disembodied hand, and he was originally only part of a warning to the mailman in the comic strip. So there was a signpost that said "Beware of the Thing." So when they were developing the TV show, they asked Charles Addams what the Thing was, and he actually described it as a disembodied head that rolled around the Addams family house on ramps and pulleys.
I like that so much more.
But of course, the powers that be decided that a disembodied hand would be a little more palatable to their viewing audience, so they dumbed it down. Honestly, just makes me think of those moments where someone says something, claims it to be way more gruesome than it is, so that they'll the producers meet them halfway and actually give them what they want.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Team America did that. The puking scene, they made it like 9 minutes long or something, like totally unnecessary. Like, well, no, let's crop that down, and they cropped it down to like a full 2 minutes, but that's what they wanted originally anyway. So if we do 2 minutes, they'll crop us to 30 seconds. So
right.
it's genius stuff. So I kind of feel like it might have been that, but we'll see. Fun fact: that Thing has a full name. Yeah, his name is Thing T. Thing, and the T stands for Thing.
I don't know what else it would stand for other than Thing or Tiberius, so that makes sense to me.
Could be Thing of the Thing. But there actually were a couple other disembodied hands as well that were featured in that universe through the TV show. There was a feminine hand called Lady Fingers that was in the service of Princess Millicent, whoever that is.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I used to watch the '60s Addams Family, like not religiously, but I used to watch it a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
And then there was another one named Esmeralda that eventually replaced Lady Fingers' service to Princess Millicent. And in the 1990s remake of the show, there was another show called The New Addams Family. It was very short-lived. And it saw that Uncle Fester's look-alike, great Uncle Curly, had his hand severed, and it lived on as a disembodied hand named Pinky.
Oh wow. Okay. I
Yeah.
don't really remember that one. I did watch a lot of the '90s one too. Mm-hmm. But way more of the '60s ones. It was
Yeah.
on right after the Munsters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's good. The last thing I'll say here is that it's a nice fun fact is that the Thing in the '60s TV show was played by the same actor who played Lurch, Ted Cassidy. So the only time that wasn't true is when they appeared on screen together, in which case Thing was played by an on-set crew member. But due to Cassidy's height, which is 6'9", it caused some technical issues while filming his hand, which is no surprise. So he actually had to lay down on a wheeled trolley below the line of sight of the cameras and put his hand through like a hole in the bottom of a box. and he occasionally used his left hand instead of his right just to see if anyone would notice.
Oh, that's so good.
Just love that. So it does appear on the screen as left hand once in a while, and the thing is credited as itself at the end of every episode, which I love.
I think that might even be true for the 90s one, too.
Yeah, that's great. I know that in the 90s, films is played by like I forget his name, but he's like a Canadian magician. So, someone who just like used their hands a lot for sleight of hand and all that. So, and he played it consistently through that, and I think a few other instances as well. It was this Canadian magician that did a lot of handwork for different films and stuff.
Well, it makes sense. He would have been wicked dexterous.
Yeah.
The thing about close-up magic is you have the ability to do a lot of weird things with your hand that you shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah. And the thing that
Christopher Hart is the name that I'm looking at.
what is it?
Christopher Hart?
Christopher Hart. Okay, yeah.
It's from Nanaimo.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
He was
yeah,
also
so
the hand in Idle Hands.
Yes, he was. That's right. It's so funny. So having just watched those two films, there was something that I noticed, and there are a number of things. Now, Thing does have a portion of the wrist as well, but he does a bunch of things that just would not be physically possible. Of course, you're not looking for a whole lot of realism in those films, but there was a part of the way it looked that I really liked, and it kind of looked like not only was it disembodied, but it was almost like it was attached to a body that was wholly incorporeal and invisible all at once, And
Okay.
I know it's probably not accurate to any of the lore, but I kind of liked that idea. I thought it was kind of cool. Like maybe the spirit is still there, guiding it and moving it around, but it's only just one hand that's actually corporeal and pulling it off. Because I mean, it's doing all kinds of weird things, like turning the steering wheel in a car. There's just no way, It's not like flailing around trying to get that leverage. So when I was watching the second film, I just started imagining the whole time that there was this like floating incorporeal essence that was following it at all times. And it just made it more entertaining, at least for me. So we'll touch on a little bit of cultural lore.
Really?
Although
Cultural lore?
just a teeny bit. It's not exactly related. In fact, I added this in after I had already finished writing the episode. So I was like unconvinced. I was like, there's got to be something to do with severed hands somewhere. And I did manage to find something called Hand of Glory.
Okay. I thought you
and-
were going to go with Monkey Paw.
No. There was a whole bunch of things to dive into because there's a lot of folklore around hands, and especially a dead man's hand. But none of it really seemed to apply. A lot of it's very, sparse and vague and what have you. But the Hand of Glory I thought was kind of interesting because it does have some direct connections to this. And in that, so Hand of Glory specifically is a dried and pickled hand, but it's from a hanged man. And in some of the lore is actually specified as being only the left hand. So that's might be where you get your 3.5e lore. Might be pulling from this Hand of Glory. And it was also, if it wasn't the left hand, there was an exception in some of the lore in that it was the hand of the hanged murderer that did the murdering deed, if you will.
Okay.
But the usage of this Hand of Glory is really something interesting. You basically would...
Is it a phallic talisman?
No, not exactly. You would dry and pickle this hand, and then you would create a candle from the fat of the same dead person and place it on or between the fingers of the hand in such a way that the hand acts as a candlestick, and then and in some cases the wick of the candle will be made from the hair of the same person, and this like had a function, and it was basically believed that anyone who was in the presence of this Hand of Glory and the candle while the candle is lit would be made to be motionless, like struck motionless. So if you were in the same room and presented this hand that was shown in any capacity, you would not be able to move. You'd be paralyzed, essentially.
We've talked about a lot of gross things on this show, but honestly, for my money, that's the single most disgusting thing we have talked about. Just how quickly that compounds into something outside of my comfort zone is insane.
Seriously.
I've been to Dawson. I've drunk whiskey that had a toe in it, and the second he started talking about making a candle out of human fat with a hair wick,
awful, isn't it?
my stomach is just roiling.
Yeah. I'll show you. There's a little book called it's like a manuscript. It's called Petit Albert, and it's written by there's a whole mess of where it came from, but it was trying to remember correctly because I didn't have quite the proper notes on it, but it was something like a 12th century German Catholic philosopher and bishop who had notes, and then these notes were sort of taken and used as inspiration about a century later, so 13th century, from yet another Albert. There was like Albert the Great. This is a different Albert, and one of them was canonized as a saint along the way. No, it wasn't Prince. and then they used these notes to write this manuscript, or this Petit Albert, which was not published until something like the 16th century or 17th century. So it was just like, farther and farther ahead before it even saw the light of day, really, at least in a published sense. And I'm going to send you a picture here in the show notes on the Discord. That's the drawing from this grimoire, actually it's described as Petit Albert. And
that looks substantially less horrifying than I imagined.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll show you a horrifying one in a sec.
Cool.
But in this book, I have to do this because I've become hooked to it. I'm gonna read you the recipe of making a hand of glory.
I'm gonna turn my mic down in case I start throwing up, but I'm here for it. Let's do it.
What fucked up cultural lore would it be that I do the research on that I don't come across a fucking insane recipe? It's just so beautiful.
Yeah. This is your content warning, listeners.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so here it reads as such. And I'll add a couple things here and there based on some of the words I was unfamiliar with as I went. I did a little research on. But okay, it goes like this. Take the right or left hand of a felon who is hanging from a gibbet beside a highway. Wrap it in part of a funeral pall, and so wrapped, squeeze it well. Then put it in an earthenware vessel with zimat, don't know what that is, niter, salt, and long peppers, the whole well powdered. Leave it in this vessel for a fortnight, then take it out, and expose it to full sunlight during the dog days until it becomes quite dry. Dog days being the hottest days of summer. If the sun is not strong enough, put it in an oven with fern and vervain, which is a perennial flowering plant. Next, make a candle from the fat of a gibbeted felon, virgin wax, sesame, and pony. Pony is a very strongly disputed what the hell that means. And use the hand of glory as a candlestick to hold this candle when lighted. And then those in every place into which you go with this baneful instrument shall remain motionless.
All right, so that wasn't as bad as I thought. It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I thought the candle would have had to have been made out of the fat of the same dead man. So you've just got this human fat candle on hand for, the better part is 60 days. Like that's so gross. That's so gross.
And so, aside from all the unsure things there, I mean, it's not as bad a recipe as we've come across, although, of course, I have more. So, there was actually a way to prevent the Hand of Glory affecting you. So, in case, you had some unsavory thieves that might approach your house and you were very paranoid and superstitious, you might want to prevent this. So, the Hand of Glory, this is also in Petit Albert, the Hand of Glory would become ineffective and thieves would not be able to utilize it if you were to rub the threshold or other parts of the house by which they may enter with an unguent composed of the gall of a black cat, the fat of a white hen, and the blood of a screech owl. This substance must be compounded during the dog days.
That's some goop shit. Like,
Seriously.
that's the kind of recipe you read on Gwyneth's website. Like, that's
Right?
that's
so
not
messed up.
okay.
Yeah.
And doesn't
No,
work.
don't be. We do not support pulling out the gall of a black cat, the fat of a white hen, or the blood of a screech owl any more than we support drowning bats in milk. It's just, this is not a thing.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
We are men of modern day in science. Get your vaccines.
Yeah.
Don't make a candle out of a dead man's fat.
Just don't do that. It's-
Yeah. That being said, I'm going to need to alter my will tomorrow.
To put a caveat in there saying don't do it, or to
Or to make sure it gets done.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence at this point.
just the will's getting a review. That's fine. All right. Well, one more thing. I'll send you another picture. This is the gruesome one. This is an actual hand of glory that's on display at the Whitby
These
Museum.
were actually made? This wasn't like
Oh,
folklore?
yeah. Oh,
That's
well, I mean,
ridiculous.
there's claimed to have been made, but this is in the Whitby Museum in North Yorkshire, England, and it comes with a text, a manuscript that was published in 1823 that sits beside it, and it just looks like a sort of dried, mummified, petrified hand in a box. That manuscript says the following: "It must be cut from the body of a criminal on the gibbet, pickled in salt and the urine of man, woman, dog, horse, and mare, smoked with herbs and hay, and
All
yeah,
of those things combined.
all of the above, smoked with herbs and hay for a month, hung on an oak tree for 3 nights running, then laid at a crossroads, then hung on a church door for 1 night while the maker keeps watch in the porch. And if it be that no fear hath driven you forth from the porch, then the hand be true one, and it be yours."
That is an ordeal.
Oh my god.
Like, there are more steps than that than Frodo getting the ring to Mordor. Like,
It's absurd.
how long do you have to lay at the crossroads for?
Who comes up with that? I don't like. It's you just. It's impossible to imagine what it must have been like to live back then. You know, like it's just like they must be
mean-
missing so much information that we have now that we just take for such granted, because that would have been apparently a totally normal, logical step or series of steps to make something that's like you think that you would think is totally legit at the time. Like I just don't. Oh, it's so weird to get my head around.
Well, I mean, we objectively live in the best time to be alive. Like,
Right.
it's that it's not really up for debate.
Yeah.
Also, it's pretty easy to imagine because people just make shit up all the time.
This is true.
We've talked about it before on the show.
Yeah.
Like gluten intolerance. Like pack alphas. Like,
Right. Yeah, we talked about this. I mean, to be fair, some of those were researched and they didn't just make them up, but then they did, go back and say,
you
"Oh no,
showed
hey,
me
I
the
was
picture
wrong.
of the research.
I
Like,
was
that
wrong."
mummif- yeah, but okay, so those are two particular ones that got redacted.
Yeah.
But like you're showing me the research. Like this mummified hand in a box is somebody having done that research. Like it's somebody
Yeah.
having gotten themselves, their wife, their dog, their horse, and I don't know what a mare is, but like
It's just a female
getting-
horse.
okay, a lady horse,
A lady
just
horse.
to pee in a jar, and then
Yeah.
like gotten permission or under the cover of darkness, like a resurrection man, got the hand of this person or
Yeah.
used to be person, and then doing that.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that blows my mind is that you'd have to get permission of a church to nail this pickled hand on their door and
then you
sit
gotta,
there
like-
for a night.
It's so dumb.
Like, could you imagine getting I would love to go down to the Presbyterian church down the road and just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna nail this preserved hand to your door and sit here for a night. Is that cool?" Like, that's
I
the
have a
stuff
hard-
that blows my mind is that they weren't all stupid. Like, not
Right.
everybody in town was a complete fucking moron. There's got to have been somebody who was like, Jim, maybe turn it down a notch. Like, you want to
Just
pee on
no,
a
dude.
hand? It's like, fine, I get it. He's not using it anymore. You want to
Everyone's got
preserve
their
it?
kinks,
All right,
yeah.
a little weird. You want to nail it to my church door and then sit there and watch it all night? Like, maybe get a friend or a hobby. Have you thought about crochet? Like,
It's like, read a book. I'm writing a book. Oh God, please don't write a book. Please
Yeah.
just go read one.
invent something
Yeah.
other than this. Literally anything other than this. Like,
Yeah. Oh, too funny.
gross and wrong and weird.
All wrapped up together. I mean, the small part that I have a hard time with is you smoke it with herbs and hay for a month. Like, is that like 24/7 for 1 month? Like, or, you just keep herbs and hay smoldering for a full month just for this hand?
It's
Like,
probably that, or cold smoking. To be honest, because cold smoking
Yeah.
is a wicked good preservative without actually
Yeah, okay.
rupturing the meat, because it only smokes
fair.
the outside. Whereas hot smoking, this thing would disintegrate.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'd imagine it would be smoldering or cold smoking. Like, you'd put the herbs and stuff over the coals and then just poke them once a day or so, just to get a little bit of more smoke going.
Yeah,
Because a
fair
month
enough.
is a long time to do anything, much less like.
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't trust myself to get out of bed every day for a month, much less go out to the backyard and poke the coals in the fire.
The only thing I know I can do is drink every day for 1 month. I don't do it, but I know I can. Well, I think the
Past, you were
difference is-
crazy, yo.
Past so crazy. I mean, I think the differences between what little cultural lore we have here and the D&D stuff is pretty stark. There seems to be some influence on the whole left hand thing, and certainly to be murderers or hanged men or some such. But otherwise, there's not a whole lot to go on. There might be more cultural lore out there that I just didn't find. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you explore at all why it's the left hand? Like, do you think that has anything to do with it being the left hand of the devil, because the right hand of God thing, that duality there? Left-handed
Literally,
people are
it's
immediately
literally
evil.
it literally just sits in the intro of the Wikipedia article for the Hand of Glory. Often it just says often specified as being the left hand.
Right.
It does say in parentheses Latin sinister, but it doesn't say why it says that in parentheses.
It has something to do with
Yeah.
with the word left.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's some sort of lore out
that's
there.
right.
Where the truth, where people think that left-handed people are vassals of the devil, because
Right, yeah.
somewhere in the root word of left is sinister or something like that, because it's right,
Some
which
cultures
is
like-
correct or good, and then left,
Right.
which is
Yeah,
sinister.
and it must be rooted in the Latin word for it or some such, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have any of that information off the top of my head, but that's what I would imagine where this is coming from. Like, anytime somebody's persecuted, it's got to do with some sort of god.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I guess that brings us to our favorite part of the show.
I could use it. Let's dig a little bit further into the darkness of humanity.
Yes, let's. And to do so, we will enjoy ourselves.
This dark, sessionable, smooth blackmail Northwest Stout.
Complete with lactose. Yeah, lovely. Delicious.
Oh, I've been looking forward to that all week, man.
All right. Well, cans cracked. Let's check out the mechanics. I think this is a first for us. I'm going to give you one hint. I think it's a first for us on CR. What CR do you think it is?
That immediately makes you want to guess like 24, but that's empirically untrue.
There's no way.
There's literally no way based on the lore you've told me. So I don't know. 1.5. Do those exist? What I don't.
don't.
I don't know. What have we not done? Like a 6? But again, that feels too
I
high.
know it's not much of a hint.
Have we done a 1/8?
I don't know if we've done 1/8. We might have talked about creatures that with
Oh,
stat
there were
blocks
there were a
vary.
couple of gnolls that were 1/8s.
Were they okay?
I don't know.
But it's none of those. This is.
How about you tell me? It's your episode.
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. It's a CR0.
Write it and tell me, listeners.
CR0.
This is the first zero we've done.
This is definitely the first zero we've done. It sort of implies that it's very non-threatening.
Not even worth putting in a game.
It's got 2 HP. Or if you want to roll for it, you want to be real bold, roll for it. 1d4.
It doesn't have a constitution score, I guess.
It does not. It's a con score of 11, so plus 0. Its AC is 12, speed of 20, climb of 20. Does have the climb, even though, again, they didn't say anything about it in the 5e lore, but it did say something in 3.5. But there it is in the stat block. It's got a climb speed. It does have a strength of 13 and a dex of 14. And I kind of like that in the sense that, it is a little bit, it's nimble enough to get around and turn your doorknobs and all that stuff. And I like that it's got at least a decent amount of strength, because I actually do imagine that very macabre scenario where it's running around relatively silently through an inn or some such, or a house, and just like strangling people. So once it like sneaks up on you, grabs you around the neck, like if you're just an average Joe, you're not going to be able to pull it off probably,
Right.
You know
I
how
mean,
much
with one hand, you could put your hand over your mouth and pinch the nose.
Right, yeah. So, and if these things gather in swarms, whoo, baby. Not much to tell in the stat blocks or the ability scores. Intelligence is really low, charisma is really low, wisdom's same as con pretty much. It does understand common, but cannot speak for obvious reasons. I assume any language known in life would also be applicable for understanding. So, if that odd time you decide to create something where they don't know common, but maybe it understands Elvish or something like that.
Right.
But that was not specified.
Not to take it down a side road, but in my world, thieves' cant is a sign language. So maybe it, if this person was a thief, maybe it knows that version of sign language or whatever.
Yeah, and that was the next thing I was going to say too, which is a really funny thing about in one of the Addams Family films from the 90s. Thing has to get a message to Gomez, and he like starts with sign language, but he's like too frantic and going too fast, and he's like trying to spell it out just using the alphabet, and Gomez just can't read it. And then he tries to grab a pen and write, but the pen won't work, and then he ends up just grabbing the spoon out of Gomez's bowl of cereal and using Morse code. It's like I love that it went through 3 different methods of communication with a hand, and it was amazing. It's just so funny.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a sentient hand around the house, just have pencils. Don't use pens.
Right. So we also have, it does have immunity to poison damage and poison condition, which is very normal for undead.
I guess I missed that. I never really would have considered these to be undead, but I guess that makes a lot of sense.
Right. That's why it was like I had such a strong. It has such a strong connection to like that homunculus or that construct style, but it is specifically an undead creation.
Yeah.
So it's
weird.
it doesn't have the construct type. It is immune to charmed and exhaustion. It does have blind sense 30 feet, but blind beyond that radius. It's specified.
Okay.
And its one ability is turn immunity. It's immune to turn undead. So
That's pretty big for a CR0.
right, yeah.
Especially if you've got an applause running around.
Yeah, pretty much. Just seeing how the is it clerics have turn undead, or is it paladins, or is it both?
Clerics.
Clerics.
I don't,
It's just the cleric.
Paladins have smite.
There's a whole applause just running towards him. Tries to use turn undead, fails. Be like, oh, I guess there's no encore for you. But bumps. And then from there, it's got a single claw attack.
You don't say.
Yeah, it's +3 to hit, 1d4 plus 1 bludgeoning, or slashing. Claw's choice.
That makes sense.
A little variety in there. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, slap her fingernails. Makes sense.
So yeah, that's pretty much this creature as it sits in the lore and mechanics. I like
Still
this
kind of
thing.
rocking my world that they're undead.
Yeah, and I like them. They're very simple. There's not much in the way of utilization beyond what I've thought of so far. Although I do have a little bit on some homebrew ideas,
Okay.
or
'Cause right
rather,
off the bat, these to me seem like a plot villain.
yeah, for
Not
sure.
like a slow the party down kind of creature. Like this is very thematic, which is great.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things we love about D&D is that some of these creatures are pure theme. Some of them are pure walls, but these are
Yeah,
these are
yeah.
great.
Yeah, I mean, unlike the homunculus had like a lot more attached to it. The ability to sense through it from like massive distances, that sort of thing. This thing is much more simplified in its menial tasks around the lab or go murder, death, kill a house of people.
Yeah, and it'd be
So
really easy to scale up too. Like you could,
for sure,
easily make this thing a CR3 or CR4, and it's the hand of a fire giant that still knows how to cast fireball or whatever.
I think we should turn it from a tiny size to a gargantuan size and make that
Yeah,
CR24 stat block. Why not?
for sure.
Give it spell turning.
Or there's six of them, and it's the hands of a dead Gurion.
Yeah. So in the 5e Monster Manual, there is a little quote that sits next to the artwork, and it says, "Makes one wonder what can be done with all those other murderer parts, doesn't it?" Quoted by Evangelisa Levane, a necromancer. And I kind of love that line of thinking. I love that there's something about like these rituals that are so rare and hard to perform. I kind of like that you kind of laughed at it, but it has to be a smaller, medium-sized creature's hand. I like these really really strange, almost seemingly unnecessary caveats or restrictions to these rituals. Because it just to me it makes those rituals and those spells feel that much more difficult to figure out how they work, to actually develop them to begin with, and you find yourself probably making some exceptions as you're trying to sort out how these magics intertwine. And so all of a sudden I think it's like for some reason only this ritual works on the hand of a murderer and that's it. But then here's this other necromancer thinking, well, what about the other parts of a murderer? I wonder what you can do with that. So I kind of like this line of thinking. And also, I would love to see a PC with one of these as a familiar. I think it would be really fun. And I would love even more to develop a character that knows the ritual, but will only perform it on themselves, such as the Living Claws.
Okay.
And then the rare time they use it, they would need the party to watch over their comatose body and somehow manage to relay instructions to the crawling claw because it only listens to its master, which would be you who is comatose. You to relay instructions that would eventually guide it back to you. And since the master of the claw is comatose, that's it kind of makes that a little bit awkward. Or even better than this idea, have a fellow PC who knows the ritual and another character. Is a regular but perhaps a reluctant participant in the ritual in order to get certain things done. So they have an agreement, or there's a backstory. It's like, okay, guys, just bear with us. We'll get in there. I'm just gonna do this thing real quick. Cuts the ally's hand off. Does a ritual, goes comatose. Next thing you know, the hand's crawling around. It'd be a really, really crazy moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I have a necromancer in my back pocket that I've been waiting for the right time to play. Who's
Yeah.
true neutral, and that's just because he doesn't have like feelings per se.
Yeah.
And one of the things he does is, or he's interested in, very similar. He's loosely based off Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster,
Okay.
and that's he spends his time experimenting with bodies just to see where life really does end, because he himself is a result of the clone spell of a previously dead wizard.
Okay. Cool.
And the clone
Yeah.
spell got corrupted or something like that at the very last minute, where he doesn't have those memories, but he has that innate magic ability and that curiosity about life and death that he's not really aware of. But it's because he is technically dead.
Right. I like it. I like it. Yeah, playing a necromancer is something that I feel like I haven't seen or heard of very often. I think it's a bit polarizing, or people assume it is, and that a lot of people would have a moral objection to sort of witnessing a lot of the acts they would do, even if they do them from a neutral standpoint or for the greater good. There's always this sort of assumed innate don't fuck with the dead, it's disrespectful, you'll piss off the gods maybe, or some such, right? For most players and characters who are at least lawful and or good, they are likely to oppose just the mere mention of doing something like that.
Yeah, I get it. I don't agree with it clearly.
Right, no.
It's not like that
that
person is using that body anymore, and it's
Right.
it's all about how that character perceives it. Like if you have
Yeah.
a necromancer who every time he raises a skeleton at the end of the combat or whatever, he sits down and he's like, "Hey, I want to take 5 minutes and I want to thank this person, this spirit, for loaning me use of their body." Like that's not an evil being.
You could really-
that's
you
a
could really-
practical being.
Yeah, you could really, really lean into a sort of druidic aspect of it, right? It's like never unnecessarily, but like druids are allowed, at least in some regard, in some lore, maybe not in 5e, but they are allowed to kill animals. So long, in self-defense. In some cases, they are allowed to kill animals to make sure someone is fed, if not themselves. Sometimes they're sort of shoehorned into being vegetarian, but it does not necessarily have to be true. It's anything in excess, anything that's for sport, or anything that's unnecessary, that is anathema to their powers and their beliefs. But those that can be reasoned as necessary are totally fine. And so the respect for, said animal and knowing what it's given up in your slaying of it, so on and so forth, I don't see why that couldn't be applied to, the opposite spectrum of reanimating the dead. It's an interesting concept for
completely.
sure.
It's a very, I want to be careful with how I phrase this, but it's a very indigenous people's kind of solution. Like
For sure, yeah.
You use
That's where my brain was at, too.
every part of the animal, and and I think druids are very heavily inspired by that particular culture. But there's no reason you can't have a necromancer who feels the same way. Like you can have clerics who lean into the nature domain. Why can't you have a necromancer who leans into like cleric domains? Like that's it's not a bad. I mean, it's not an intrinsically bad thing. Sort of, because rules is written, undead creatures are usually chaotic evil, and that's the issue.
Right. Yeah.
So like when you raise a skeleton, it is a chaotic evil skeleton. The problem is it doesn't have a will of its own because you're the necromancer, and that's where I think the gray area comes for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, especially in 5e where you don't see a mechanical usage of alignment very much, if at all. I think there might be some detect alignment stuff, but that's mostly it. Whereas in Pathfinder, you have like, alignment is a physical property in that universe essentially, right? So you can actually have magic that's related to alignment cast on your person or your items and that sort of thing. So. So I get what you're saying there. Now, of course, you're not wrong in that most undead, at least have the evil trait, if not chaotic evil. I can tell you right now that the Crawling Claw is neutral evil. So that's an exception to what would probably be the most common. But I would have no problem as a GM saying that, hey, like if that undead creature, if it only responds to your will and your commands, then that undead creature is whatever alignment that is yours, or its alignment is based on what actions you tell it to take, not that it has its own inherent alignment. So that alignment would be a little more fluid and would change more frequently. I mean, that's how I'm imagining it.
It makes sense to leave it that way in 5e specifically, because if I'm remembering this correctly, if the necromancer goes down, the skeletons don't go away. They just turn on the party, or they murder whatever is closest.
Yeah,
I'm prepared to be corrected on that for sure, but it's one of those things where I like that rule. I like that you are playing with dangerous fundamental forces of evil, and I wouldn't want to change that by changing the alignment of the creatures you're summoning. I would just want
Right.
to, make it clear to the rest of the party, like, this person is not, give them a little bit of meta knowledge, like, this is not an evil character, and
Right.
have that player.
Okay, I will
Portray it
I'll
that
meet you halfway on that, I think. While they're under your sway, they do not have to do inherently, they don't have to act inherently chaotic evil ways, of course. All right,
Yeah.
they act however so in a sense, in a very non-mechanical sense, what you command them to do kind of overrides their alignment. But the moment they are out of your control, or the moment a mechanical effect comes in, then it has to consider what alignment that creature would be if it were not under your sway and control.
Yes, I agree with that completely, and I agree with everything you said, because D&D isn't a alignment heavy game.
Right.
Like, you're not going to have axiomatic weapons and stuff like that do more damage to, chaotic creatures or
Right.
what have you. You may have like damage to evil creatures, but if you're fighting an evil paladin, chances are they're not going to have damage to smite evil. They're going to have smite good.
Yeah. Right.
So I think there's so much play in there for PCs and GMs and having that conversation with the GM, and I think the Crawling Claw would be a perfect familiar.
Yeah. It would be so cool. It would be such a cool idea. I'm wondering if they're in Pathfinder right now. Now that we've mentioned, wizards and necromancy.
Not that I've seen, but
Yeah.
familiars work very differently in 2e.
This is true. Yeah.
Very, very differently in
Yeah.
2e.
All right. Well, I've got nothing else, to be honest.
I also have nothing else. But if
Alright, then,
you, our dear listeners, have something else, feel free to get in touch with us and let us know if you have any great experiences or stories, or if you have any mechanical principles that you use for Crawling Claws as character familiars. I'd love to see those. And you can fire those off via email at info@encounterthis.ca. You can find us on Instagram at encounter.pod, Facebook, Twitter at encounterpod, or you can find us on Patreon if you really, really like this show, for whatever reason that is, and you get some sort of value out of that. We'd really appreciate a monthly donation. $1 a month gets you access to a private Discord. $5 a month gets you a handwritten thank you letter and access to our show notes. You can see all the names that I mispronounce and all of the other information that some of these episodes are produced from. And $10 a month, you can suggest a creature. It doesn't have to be D&D. It can be Pathfinder. It can be Starfinder. It can be real world only. It could be Legend of Dragoon, which I think is the game.
Oh my god, I love that game.
Yeah. So give Freeman
So
something
good.
to talk about with $10 a month. You can suggest a Legend of Dragoon creature. I'd love to do an episode on the Chocobos. I would fuck with that, but that is outside of my purview. And
That would be a hell of an episode.
if you want to find any of the back episodes, you can find them all at encounterthis.ca or on your podcast purveyor of choice. If you have a hot second and would like to help us out without any financial commitment, taking a minute to rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening to really, really helps us out. It helps with our placement in those respective stores and helps us find new and fun listeners.
Indubitably.
Or new and regular listeners, I guess. You don't have to be fun. I don't want to put that on you. I'm not fun.
Yeah, I hate this. You always bring me down, man.
Well, doing the show is fun. I, as a human being, am not intrinsically fun.
He's not the happy-go-lucky one in this relationship.
That is, if that's not obvious by the amount of time you put into this show, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got nothing for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for putting this much time into the show, and I guess we will catch you in the next one.
See you on the flip side.
Applause break.
Encore. Encore. Here's the thing. I know she's dead. She's not the sort you forget, for I tracked her for months. Her pattern was obvious. She had nothing to hide. Entire roadside inns strangled to death in the night, one after the other. Not even the simplest attempt to cover her tracks. She wanted to be caught. And caught her I did. Full confession, brief tribunal, not a grain of remorse. Public execution. And she smiled right to the end. No regrets. So why am I still on this case? Oh, sure, there was a small reprieve, but strangulations aren't exactly front page news. And here we have these ones, and they're the same. And by the same, I mean to the letter. To the drop of blood and last gasp of air, they're the exact same. She's dead. But now I'm starting to wonder about that smile. Maybe it was if she knew. That she knew she wasn't done. I'm starting to think of an old smile. And it has me shaken in a way that I haven't been since the plague. Since that hand